I think there is going to be a boom in sales of enormous screens.
Oh, yeah.
Because you never have enough space on your screen, right?
Or multiple screens. So you, Jessica, you are recording and live streaming right now, and you have 2 members of the public attending.
Great. So welcome everyone to the Budget Task Force meeting. We are, according to open meeting laws, we're doing this meeting via Zoom, and happy to welcome the members of the Budget Task Force, as well as, I understand, 2 members of the public. The purpose of today's meeting is really to go through all of the requests we've received from various committees. As Jesse mentioned, they're in the Dropbox. You should be looking at expense FY23. And similar to the format that we did a couple days ago with the capital expense, want to essentially review them group by group. So Jesse took all of the number 1s from every from every committee and task force, and have lumped them together, and then done that all the way down, all the way down the list. So we feel it worked well 2 days ago for the capital budget to go through category, each group. So I'd like to propose we do that again. And I'd like to remind everyone that, as discussed in previous conversations and endorsed by the executive committee on Monday, we are committing to our priorities, which are housing, public safety, and traffic and air quality. So those are the top 3 requests. We also know through the community survey we did, which again received over 400 responses, that issues around crime, sanitation, pests were things that were really top of mind for folks. And so we should keep that in mind as we pursue prioritizing these listed here. In addition, we should just again be mindful that requests should be things that we have actually written letters on, and that come with very specific targeted budget requests associated, because we know those are the most likely to find traction against or with the agencies that we are submitting to. With that, Jesse, do we want to welcome people from the public? People will raise their hand if they have questions. How do you prefer to handle that?
Sure. I mean, right. I think normally I think if we're okay with that, we can maybe hold questions to the end when we discuss new items at all. I think that'd be helpful, because you guys just have a load of work to do. We'll be displaying that list that Jessica just talked about in a couple seconds, so you can certainly see it on your screen. And it's a working document, so it's clearly not a finalized document, just to be aware of. But you can always raise your virtual hand to ask a question. You can also, I don't see the Q&A function here. That's bizarre. I'm not sure what happened there, but you normally have Q&A, but you can raise your hand. And there's a chat section active today as well. So we could possibly answer the question that way too at the end. But if it's not answered tonight, we can clearly always follow up with me directly, and I can hopefully answer any questions.
Okay, so with that, I think actually, unless there are any questions, I'd like to suggest that Jesse share the screen. And again, we can start category group by group, reviewing the requests and putting out suggested priorities for them. Any questions? Okay, let's do it. Okay, so starting from the top again, just to remind everyone, housing, public safety, traffic, and air quality are our 3 top priorities. The first requests here are, I think it should just start. We'll obviously need to clean this up and make some additional edits, so no one has to worry about that. We should just focus on the content for right now. The first being DSNY corner basket pickup to be reinstated to pre-pandemic levels, and now baselined in the FY23 budget. And then there's some rationale there. My read of one of the first 2 is that they're the same request. They come from 2 different committees. One is ACES and one is WPE. And so I think we can safely assume, unless anyone sees them as different, combining those 2 requests. The third request, again, needs to be cleaned up, but is really about open restaurants and street dining becoming permanent, and the need for DOT to expand funding for staffing and training of enforcement personnel. And I will note that further down in the document, this was something that trans also requested be taken up. It just comes further down in their priority list. So it's just,
Yeah, I would move it,
ELP.
I would move it down and merge it in the trans.
Okay. Okay. I just want to keep going, and then we can come back and make those, agree to make those changes. The next is the dangerous intersections, 31 dangerous intersections with some suggested addresses there. Followed by funding the DOB website to presumably have staffing to deal with updating the website, to deal with improper demolitions and things happening with DOB. The next being, this comes out of the Social and Racial Justice Task Force with the goal of having more activities, police activities focused on engaging and educating and building bridges with the community. And the last in this category is related to the issue of homelessness, with the request that additional funds be designated for homelessness outreach. Is everyone comfortable combining the first two? Great.
Yeah.
And then are folks comfortable with open restaurants, the request here being combined with the trans request further down? Great. Okay, so then with that, I'm gonna again do this idea of putting out just a suggestion and then you guys can react to it. In light of our priorities, I would put the housing request, homelessness outreach as 1. I would put fixing the 31 dangerous intersections as 2. I would put sanitation as 3. I would put the issues related to the task force suggestion related to the NYPD as 4. And I would put the DOB website as 5, and then that's
Should we merge that? Oh, okay, it's number 2. Got it. Yeah. Should we put the police, the engagement more actively as number 3? Because that one of our item was really safety.
I think, so one of the things that I thought about when we did that is just this request it's not clear to me how much about safety it is. It obviously does involve the police, but it's really about, it's a different take on safety. I mean, it's definitely about community.
Right, but I mean, it's presence and it's talking and engaging, etc., which has to be generating safety, right?
Sure, I do think it's emanating from the issue of engaging with underrepresented populations and improving relationships with diverse communities and the police.
Which is, yeah, but still.
I do think the and to be transparent, as they say, or whatever the expression is, I do represent professionally the sanitation workers. But putting that aside, wearing my community board hat, I think the basket pickups is so prominent, and it's like on everybody's lips or everybody's perception, quality of life, of what makes it worthwhile to be here, or what people are struck with, or what I don't like about this is not that, the cop doesn't talk to me on the beat, but is that on every corner is a waste basket overflowing.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. I would also add, we've heard just a significant amount around the sanitation issues, and it was also prevalent in the survey, which is why I prioritized it. But,
right. Okay, so what do you have now? So you would have the DSM corner basket.
I would have homelessness outreach as 1, fix 31 dangerous intersections as 2, sanitation as 3, the police 4, and DOB is 5.
Okay. Now, the homeless outreach, I mean, are we going to have a discussion about the disconnect between when we say we want those things and then, you know, we are not completely supportive of getting more homeless housing put together. So if there is homeless outreach, what's going to happen next? There is outreach and what? People are supposed to take them in another district?
Maria, do you want to respond to the nature of this request?
Well, outreach means exactly that, outreach. And usually what you're doing when you do outreach is you're trying to get folks to go into shelter. There's a continuum of care, and the first step is going to be a shelter. It's not going to be, I understand what you're saying, but in terms of what actually occurs, if someone's living on the streets, they're trying to get them into a shelter. That's the first step in continuum of care.
I agree, but then when we start having discussions about, and I don't have an opinion about that, but I'm just talking about the logic of it, right? Then the city comes and say, okay, we want a drop-in center, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. And then we say we want affordable housing for homeless, and then we say, oh, I don't know. And I'm just raising the fact that this doesn't look logical to me.
Well, I will just say, Christine, I'm sorry to jump in there. I will say, I mean, we just, we were the ones to introduce and support 75 units of supportive housing into the slaughterhouse site.
Yeah.
I think we have a track record of having discussions about, getting supportive housing into projects. We came out with an entire policy on where we think they should be placed and how they should be placed as a balanced solution. So I think we're good. I mean, I think in terms of like the MTA site and the drop-in center, I think that's a snapshot of a very sticky, situation in terms of what we think is a bad location, a set of bad locations. So.
But I was going to say that, like the drop location, I mean, that's still not, that you're just finding a better location. But the plan is to continue have it in a district.
Yeah, for sure.
So that sets to that. And that's a big part of outreach, is trying to bring those folks into what is emergency shelter or, into transition, and then hopefully get them into social services if they need it. And then after that, into affordable housing.
Okay.
Leslie?
I just thought I would put it on the table.
Thank you, Leslie.
So we have a good, argument about what we are doing and where. Okay.
Yeah, Leslie. Leslie, I see you've come off mute, but we cannot hear you. Okay, Maria, did you have something? Your hand is up.
I was just gonna actually just ask you a quick question. In the beginning, you said it, but can you just remind us, or remind me rather, the 3 top, I got a little confused. I thought you said the 3 top priorities, one of them was affordable housing, or did you say public safety? That was what I wanted to know.
Housing, public safety, and traffic and air quality.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so good discussion here. Do we want to go ahead and assign these numbers and see how?
Well, if housing is the top, then shouldn't the DOB be a little higher than that?
Well, I think we made housing a priority in capital too. I mean, that was number 1.
Okay, so we don't need it here. All right, got it.
So, Jesse, maybe we'll just put them in and let's see if.
Yeah, can you? I'm sorry.
Reaction. Sure.
I'm a little bit distracted.
I see that. No problem. I hope he's feeling better. If you start at the top, we're combining. If you're all the way at the top,
I got the combination.
Exactly. We're gonna combine those. So.
And then we're making that number 3, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can either put nothing in the next one or put a 3 again, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We're
Sorry,
gonna.
Jessica, this is Leslie. Can you hear me now, or am I still kind of
We can't
muted?
hear you now.
I apologize. It was attached to something else. I was going to say, I agree with Bert as far as I think we should be kind of true to what the survey, I guess, revealed. With the trash bins is everyone is talking about trash and it
Yeah.
affects everybody. And obviously, like you said, that should be up there. And as far as public safety, I don't want to massage it too much, or I don't think we should massage it too much to kind of fit what we think public safety is. I think we all know what people are talking about on the survey as public safety. They mean actual being safe from harm or violence or harassment. And, I know we can say, well, this kind of is public safety, but that is what everyone is talking about and thinks. So there is a line I saw, but tell me if this is not appropriate. There's a line I saw from the task force about more foot cops, beat cops. And I think that's where we can address the issue that people have and, I know it looked like there's a lot on there, right? It said beat cops, engage more people, have ice cream social. It seemed like there was a lot in that one request. Am I incorrect in that, or?
You're correct in that it says that. I'm a little uncertain if they actually mean that they want more foot patrol. I think they want more increased engagement of foot patrol with the community. So the
Yeah.
more modifies engagement, not number of people.
Yeah, they were very clear, and they were very clear in their request that this is not a request for additional officers, but it's more about somewhat of a reallocation of existing officers and to be more outward facing. And
No, absolutely. And they can say that, but it's not they can say, listen, we want more people on foot patrol, but don't bring more officers. That's not based in reality, right?
But I don't think they're saying more foot patrol. That's the thing. They're not saying that.
They're asking for a change in culture.
Exactly.
That's what they're asking
more
for.
people on
And
the
how do you
beat,
put
right?
that in
More
the,
cops on the beat.
I'm
Can-
sorry, Leslie?
No, they're asking for more cops on the beat, like out of cars and in the beat, right? And on the beat.
They are not asking for that.
They are not. Okay, I thought it said on foot, engaging with.
Again, the word more here modifies more activity, like
Yeah.
more, like spend more time doing this, not more people to do that. So it's poorly worded, but Jesse has spoken to them and they're not advocating for more police.
yeah, I read it the same way. It's more of one kind of activity rather than.
No. And I know their intention. I'm just saying, if you tell the cops that, they're like, well, that's not either you want us to be, you know what I mean? I'm just saying in the reality.
But Leslie, I think I agree with you. I would have modified that sentence, but once we put that in there, NYPD is going to read it the way they want. And we know the way they want,
right.
They are going to read it more people.
No,
And
I'm not even advocating for more. I'm not saying we should have more. Let's get more cops. I'm just saying just to address the issue that people put on the survey. That's all. However, we're going to do that. We should directly address that issue.
That actually, thank you, Leslie, for saying, because that reminds me, and Jesse, I forgot to do this, but we discussed it, which is that the issue of public safety and how we're actually going to address it. We said in the last meeting that we didn't have any capital requests that support that. It's not solvable with bricks and mortar. But we also, it's not clear that we're necessarily going to be solving it with the suggestions that are on expense right now. I'm hopeful that we can tag these a little bit and come back to that later and say, have we sufficiently addressed the concerns and issues of public safety? And do we have any other suggestions for doing that we've heard on, that we've written letters on, that we've heard about? Seeing as we don't have a public safety committee, they're not naturally laddering up on this list, but obviously is going to be something that we need to come back to. So I think we should not try to read between the lines or create something in this request that's not there for this specific one noted here, but I do think we should come back to this issue overall and make sure that we're addressing it.
Makes sense.
Okay, I'd really like to lock these
Jessica.
in, but Maria, did you have something you are you altering this suggested order?
No, sorry, my hand was still up. No.
Okay, great. Okay, so Jesse, let's let's just lock these.
Yeah.
So improve,
What's number one?
one is the HHHS DHS request further down.
Expand street outreach.
Exactly. So you're leaving that as one. Then the one above it, increase resources, crime prevention,
Yeah.
is 4. Above that is 5. And above that is 2. And then the other one was 3, which you've already done.
Okay.
Which one
Let's-
is one?
So
Oh,
one
HHS.
is,
Got it. I
one
got it.
is, yeah, okay, great.
Sorry, it's
No problem. So let's,
little slow today.
now let's move on to the second set. Obviously, just as a reminder, what we did last time, we did each chunk, then Jesse reordered, sorted, and then we did it again. We'll do that, and then we'll do a
Right.
public safety discussion. So here we have, we start with restoring frequency of mechanical broom sweeping, which is also later on the list. That came up, I believe that came up twice from WPE in their, what was their number 4. And then the next one is monitor areas where residential trash is piling up, likely due to shifts in residential occupancy. The next is expanding community board other than personnel funding back to pre-COVID levels. Expand funding to outreach staff to increase the number of placements with for-profit and nonprofit groups with the idea of workforce development with a focus on what is referred to as BIPOC youth. The next is study sidewalk capacity and pedestrian demand along these streets here. And then I don't see a number next to the other one, but I'm going to go ahead and assume it was with 2, which is to address expand funding for after placement support for homeless individuals. So I would propose leaving monitoring the residential trash here and removing it later. And
But you have 2 trash here, 2 different
we
trash.
do have trash, and actually I'd be curious for folks on the, are these in any way combinable? Are they different parts of the department? They are not combinable.
They're
They're
different.
different parts of the department.
Yeah.
They're not
Alan?
combined.
I see your hand, Alan. You're on mute.
We can't hear you, Alan. Oh, okay.
Education, education, education. Time for education, please.
Okay, that's not
You got-
in this
you-
list. It is not, there's not one in the number 2s that relates to education. So we will get to your,
Oh, that
yours.
might be- That's a mistake on my part then.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's a mistake on my part. I don't know why.
Well, the ACE's request is because the
You guys
ACE, it's because the ACE's request prioritized mechanical broom over education.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
well,
you're,
you already have trash in several locations on the top. So mechanical brooms you can put somewhere else, but I think you need to get something about either schools, social workers, or something in there as up in the top somewhere.
so I would propose, we're gonna do this, I think we've found a system that works of categorizing all the 2s together, like all this. So let us do that again. You can make your case for education in the neck in number 3 where it's there. And then when we re-sort, we can then ask for education to be moved up because likely we won't have any other requests to DOE ahead of it.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna again throw out just a suggestion here, which is the placement for homeless individuals, followed
Yes,
by the 2 sanitation requests.
only 1.
Well, we were just said that we can't split them. We can't combine them rather.
But one of them is further down, isn't it?
No, they're next to each other. Both are
Oh,
2s.
we do have mechanical broom sweeping further down from WPE. So are we okay to move that one down and keep monitoring trash pile up here.
That's Alan.
Alan, that will help your case later when you want to move education up.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's so good.
Hey, whatever helps education, I'm for it.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's, so
Here we
Jesse,
go.
we're gonna remove the mechanical broom here because it's further down in WPE.
Right.
So staying with this, it was affordable, it was enhancing social services for homeless individuals. It's monitoring trash pileup. I would then do the trans request,
Yes.
followed by, I'm sorry, Jesse, to do this to you, but I would follow it by the workforce development and then the board funding.
I want to put the board funding further up. I
I
would
hate-
let the board funding be in front of swap it with trans.
Swap it
Okay.
with trans. Okay, so in that case, we're doing homelessness, trash pile up, followed by community board, followed by workforce, followed by trans.
Workforce, what is workforce?
That's this program for summer youth.
Okay.
Not summer youth, yeah.
Okay.
Summer youth, did the funding go back to?
It did.
It
It was
did.
restored last summer.
So,
So we
Their
don't
request
need that.
Their request is to expand summer youth.
oh,
Um,
yes, it
I
does say
sense,
that.
In
my
particular-
sense is that it was very hard to recruit kids this year. We really struggled, but
Well, in particular, we had a meeting, and I can't remember exactly whoever was there, but Katie, Josephine, a couple other folks were on the meeting. We met with DYCD. The real issue is finding partnerships and, for them to do outreach to these, to partnerships, for-profit, nonprofit companies to place the kids in. And so that's what the request is specific to say. That's that division of DYCD. It's not just about getting more kids in, but it's actually about building a more robust partnership program. So
I can tell you why they can't get partners is signing a contract with them is a nightmare.
actually, I will just say, I mean, I wasn't aware of that meeting and it's just one person's experience. But the issue this year was getting kids who were vaccinated to sign up. And it was not, like, we didn't get all the placements we wanted because they didn't have enough kids.
So very quickly, we can move it to 5. Is that?
Yeah, that's, Bert, you had a comment.
Yeah, I'm not on the WPE, I'm on BLP, but I would suggest that the monitoring areas where residential trash is piling up, the wording should be changed and put into the larger context of our community districts is one of the fastest growing community districts in the city population between the two census. And the change in residential occupancy on the pandemic is maybe temporary and fleeting, that there's a more important need of reevaluation of the residential route pickup to reflect our increasing population.
Okay, Jeffrey, what do you think about that?
Right. I mean, to me, trash.
But Jeffrey, there's a reason it's trash. If the route is built for like 3 apartment houses, but now there are 7, it makes a difference.
Maybe I can suggest, it doesn't change the priority area, it's just the
No.
wording, so maybe you two can
Yeah,
hammer out some language off.
Yeah, like I say, I'm BLP, so I could.
Okay, so Jesse, let's put this down and see if when people are looking at it, they have any thoughts. So we should go to, if you want to just go to restore, sorry, where are you? Oh yeah, restore restore mechanical broom is coming out, but the monitor areas is becoming 2.
No, wait, I'm sorry, we're not doing it the same way, right?
Oh, you're right.
We're up to 6.
5,
aren't
you're
we?
right. You're right. Sorry, I just did them all in my one category.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was doing the same thing and then I caught myself as well.
Yeah,
So monitoring is, but is
6.
is
6.
okay.
Oh, no, is 7.
7. What
The
was 6?
HHS is 6,
Okay.
right?
Yep. 6, 7. Then
I think you have some
Christine offered to put the budget, the OMB request for community board ahead of trans. So that
Yeah.
becomes 8.
No, but because you are moving them. Oh, there are 8 because we have number 1. Okay, got it.
Yep. And then trans becomes 9,
Mm-hmm.
and summer youth employment becomes 10. Okay.
Hold on.
Can you repeat that? I'm
Wait,
sorry.
oh, yeah.
6 is HHHS, which is expand or enhance social services.
Right.
7 is the trash pileup that you and Jeffrey were just speaking about. 8 is the OMB request for community boards being,
Okay.
budget being increased. 9 is the DOT study, sidewalk capacity study, and summer youth employment is 10.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're now on the third set. Alan, get ready. This is your chance. I'm just
Ready.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ready.
Assign more non-teaching staff within all schools, prioritizing Title I schools. Followed by increased funding for New York Organics, which is also further down. Study the effect of open restaurants, which we referred to was also noted earlier. Ensure that surveillance technologies and policies are fair and equitable and don't target communities of color. Install sidewalk extensions per a study completed. NYCHA elevators, we have this on our capital, but this is the expense side of making sure that there's enough staff to support this and to support the maintenance. And that is our list for this section.
Just want to make a comment about the open restaurants. This is like a DCP, but what we were discussing above was a DOT portion of that.
I don't know. Well, actually, Bert, this request came from you, which was the BLP one, which was, my sense was in part like, just this is happening and we need to make sure there's sufficient oversight. Are you set on that going to DOT versus DCP?
DOT is the one who's enforcing it now.
It should be DOT. That might have been my fault.
Yeah, I think it's a
DCP
DOT.
has nothing to do with anything.
No, because it looks like it was submitted by CLU. Was it?
It was.
So this was submitted by, not by BLP.
Although it does acknowledge that DOT, in their narrative, it says DOT will take over the administration of this program.
Yeah, but I think starting next year, the big deal is DOT having people. So I think we should really send that to DOT. My
Okay,
two
I would go with
I
that.
think we can make that change.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna just throw out something for consideration. I would start with the elevators. I would then install 4 sidewalk extensions, which is the trans request. I would then,
Education.
oh, sorry, that's on, where is that?
It's first one, number 3.
Yeah.
Social workers.
Sorry, my papers. Oh, here, sorry, thank you. My papers got rattled. Yeah, actually, maybe we want to, maybe we would say social workers are first, and then
No, I think you
housing.
have to put NYCHA first, but then
Okay, so
Yeah.
social
NYCHA,
worker,
NYCHA, social workers,
trans.
trans, NYPD, DOT,
Where is
organic.
NYPD? no.
That's the surveillance issues.
I mean, this is really not, okay. I don't know whether that's an expense or a statement of. I would put open restaurant before NYPD.
Okay. Would you put open restaurants before trans?
No,
Okay, so we're looking at, I'm just gonna restate from the top. NYCHA, social workers, trans, open restaurants. Do we want to then do organics, or again, organics is further down as well in another list? And then
NYPD.
surveillance. Sabrina?
Yes. What was the number on capital for the elevators? Because we sort of would like that to match, right?
I think that was way up there. right?
Yeah, it was very
It was
high.
I
high.
was like, it was like item,
In the first 5, I would say.
Yeah.
Do we don't want that to match, or it's just, I know that,
Well, we should come back and do the second round, right?
Yes,
That's a
I think
good
it's
point
better
for
we
the second
do-
round.
we don't, let's not pull
Okay.
out. Yeah, let's do worry about our top 15 after all of this.
Right.
Okay, so are people comfortable with that? Housing, social workers, traffic improvements, open restaurants, organics, surveillance?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Jesse, can
can
we
you-
go through those?
Yeah, can you just start me off here? So I have
Yep.
the elevators as number, I think a number 11, right? Hold on.
No, I think you are
Hold
already
on.
past 11.
Nope,
Right.
you're right. You're
It would be
right.
11. Yeah,
be 11.
elevators would be 11.
That's right. So then social workers number 12.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then sidewalk is 13. Yep, further down. One more down, yep. That's
Okay.
13. And if you want to just go up from there, creation of public awareness becomes 16. Oh, wait, no, you're
No,
off
no.
one. That's 16.
17.
Ah,
Let's
Hold
go
on.
with what's the next one in order though?
I would say, isn't the open restaurants 14?
open restaurants is 14.
Right. So it's a question of organics or educational public awareness campaign.
Question is whether you're going to be surveilled when you are putting your organics out.
Yeah,
I
that's-
like to be surveilled when I'm putting more
I'm
organics.
sorry, hold on. What was the number for open restaurants?
Open restaurants is 14.
14, okay. And now we're still discussing organic,
Nope,
Oh, we
organics,
said-
organics is 15.
okay.
And then if you scroll down, creation of public awareness. Yeah, where you have
17.
3, that's 16.
17.
No,
No.
16.
Okay.
I thought organics was 16.
Yeah, me too.
Organics is 15.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Okay,
Okay.
Hmm.
next.
It
We're
gets
now
better, it gets faster as we go because you guys put less and less expense.
Yeah, we are tied, right? Then we don't say
Right,
anything.
right now, we have all 5 committees and in about, another set of rounds, we'll be thinning it out, so.
Okay, so now we're on category 4. So we have greater enforcement by sanitation to increase compliance with alternate side parking regulations. This is less about parking and I think more about ensuring that trash gets picked up from the sidewalk and restaurants.
No, so this is,
No, this is
about-
alternate side This is people not moving their cars for the street sweeper.
Yeah.
And
And the issue is-
sanitation,
It says here, agents is also needed to ensure business owners comply with responsibilities for commercial trash and sidewalk
Well,
cleanliness.
well,
Where is
it's,
that?
then it was combined for some reason.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys find that.
Grade and foot, we
That's
we
two
did that.
different things.
There's two different things. First of all, sanitation needed to increase compliance with alternate side parking. Sanitation doesn't do that. That's the traffic agents. Right?
Oh, so it
Sanitation
should be-
doesn't give
that
you a
should be
ticket.
NYPD then.
Right.
Yeah, sanitation police do not do that.
I don't know, but the
Oh, well,
thing is,
that's
I
not
think
true. I mean,
they
sanitation
can give
hasn't,
you, they
what-
can give you a ticket if you're blocking the sweeper, right?
yeah, no, so sanitation does,
Yeah.
they don't do ticketing. I mean, they can do ticketing, but Alan, my understanding what your request, this is coming from you. So I thought the request was that sanitation prioritize their enforcement with the brooms because what's happening is the cars are not moving. And
Right.
so they normally sanitation has an enforcement unit that goes with the broom. either right
Occasionally, yes.
before or right after, usually before, because that's when people then see them and
It's
move.
usually a sanitation officer.
Right.
Yeah, sanitation enforcement officer.
Right.
So that's what this was.
Yeah. But the point
Okay,
is,
so are
I've never
we-
seen a sanitation officer get out and give somebody a ticket. Usually people will move, he'll honk and this and that and everything else. But
So I mean, we can, I think
there's two
more
separate
of it
issues.
is-
I don't want to get involved, get into the nitty gritty of what we're trying to do with this alternate side thing, but maybe this has to be broken out somehow. Because it's
It
business.
has to be split in two.
Yeah.
One is NYPD and the other one is
One is residential and one is business. The way
well,
it's
but
written.
these are two separate people. The people which are doing the second enforcement are DSNY.
Mhm.
So this is an NYPD and then DSNY. It has to be split.
Yeah, I understand DSNY enforcement agents are currently tasked with other COVID-related tasks. I don't understand what that's.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not,
I'm
So-
not following.
guess
Yeah,
is
the whole
that we tried to take
the
this
whole thing doesn't
from-
make sense. That one really doesn't make sense somehow.
all right, well,
We
do you
could
want to
certainly-
reword, do you want to?
How about just greater
I mean,
enforcement by sanitation needed to ensure, well, it's the same thing. We want to get something about the enforcement of alternate side somehow.
Okay, well, what I would suggest, let's just call this alternate side enforcement right now. We'll figure out the agency later.
Right, let's, yeah,
Now
we'll
But
leave
it
that
is
alone.
NYPD. It is NYPD.
Yeah,
Okay.
Could we, suggestion, could we take that piece about enforcement of alternate side and twin it with our request for street sweepers? Because
No,
one
because
goes
these
with the
are
other.
different agencies.
Yeah,
But
it's-
if the more street sweeping you have, the more alternate side of the street parking you have. That was just my thinking.
no, the alternate side, the issue with alternate side at this point in time is a separate issue about people not moving their car or leaving their car and not bothering and, taking a chance that they're going to get it. If they do get a ticket, it's no big deal anymore because it's only one side of the street. So that's the whole issue is just a complicated, and it's unfortunately, we didn't hammer it out really too specifically. So I think this particular one is going to have to be rephrased. So maybe if you want to leave it for later on, come back to it and just keep going on.
Well, we have to vote on it. So but I'm saying just for the sake of the argument tonight, I think the priority is the first sentence, right?
Compliance with alternate side parking.
Right. I
think
mean,
that's the more
sanitation
important
does provide enforcement to do this. So.
Okay.
I mean, it does. Are we asking sanitation to do that? And that's a request. I mean, that's a valid request. If we're saying we don't think that's accurate, then we should make the second sentence actually the priority and keep it under enforcement, and remove this in the enforcement of the alternate side and make that PD. And we can
Well,
discuss that later. But
If that compliance comes under DSNY, then I would leave the first couple of sentences the way it is in terms of the alternate side.
We
Okay.
have to determine who gives out the tickets.
Well,
Right.
but no, so I mean, the sanitation sends enforcement along with the trucks, with the sweeper. What I think
Occasionally.
what this request was, Alan, tell me if I'm wrong, was that
Right.
we want the enforcement to prioritize their involvement in the sweeping to get the vehicles to move. NYPD does not send patrol, staff out with the sweeper.
Not NYPD, no.
Not NYPD. I mean, they can come by and ticket them if they see them that they're illegally parked at that moment. But
Yeah.
in terms of when the sweeper's happening, I think.
So if it's all if it's all DSNY, why don't you leave this one by itself? It's fine. We are asking DSNY to do a whole bunch of
I'm just saying in terms of the
enforcement.
description of when we just argue, when we start debating about what's the priority is, the priority of the statement is the first sentence.
Right,
That's the priority of the statement.
Right.
okay.
Okay, so we're eliminating the second ask within that.
No,
I
we're
wanna-
not.
We're keeping
I think
in
we
commercial
leave,
trash.
I think we leave it, and I think we leave it, but understand that the priority of the statement
Fine,
is
Fine,
that.
Okay.
okay. The next one is reduced frequency of mechanical broom, which we've already addressed before. So Jesse, I don't know how you want to eliminate that here from this list, but
And I have to remind, I'm sorry, Jessica, can you remind me, are we moving the first one down to this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, my impression was that we removed it from the top and we were.
Combine it,
That's
we're
right.
combining it.
you're
with
right,
the-
you're right, you're right, you're
Yeah,
right. So that's up for play here. Then we have fund homeowner flood proofing measures notably in historic districts. Then expand funding for all open streets programs.
yeah.
And lastly, expand funding for some more supportive services for families and adults that are currently in or soon to be exiting shelter. So I would, again, just throwing something out, expand homelessness prevention would be 1. I would do mechanical broom sweeping 2. I would do open streets 3. I would do DCP to work with other relevant agencies to create fund 4. And I would do this issue of enforcement as 5.
I would,
Good,
I would
Jessica.
put
like
the
that.
greater enforcement ahead of the DCP. Because it's more immediate. I mean, we need, and everybody said it's dirty, it's not good. I mean, that was part of the quality of life stuff that we
Okay,
heard.
so that's 4 and flood proofing becomes 5. Thoughts, concerns? Are we ready to put it in the book?
Yeah,
Okay, so Jesse, that has
17, right?
be ended on 16.
yeah. We ended on 16, so this becomes 7.
So housing, health and human services is 17.
Yep.
And then remind me, I lost track of what was after that.
17, 18, this would be 19. Well, sorry, do you want to do it in order? 17,
Yeah,
18?
let's just do it in order if that's all right.
Okay, 18 would become restore mechanical broom.
Got it.
Then 19 is expand funding for open streets.
Okay.
20 is more DSNY enforcement. And 21 is flood proofing.
Got it.
Okay, we're now going to the next round, which also will bring us to 25. And Jesse had mentioned that we are strongly encouraged to keep our expense request at 25, though we do and will go over. Just want to note that this is like kind of a capstone of putting a capstone on the most important things. So we have another request to DSNY about changes in residential occupancy. I think we've covered this in the earlier requests. I know there was some conversation between, I guess, Jeffrey and Bert about how we write this, but I think this issue has largely been covered.
I think this is different. This is saying, okay, some places are busy and some places are not, and the community could help DSNY to identify where they are, and therefore DSNY doesn't have to has to adjust its schedule. I don't know that you
just
need
know
an
that that
entry in
was-
the, I don't think you need an entry in the budget to do that. You just go
Right,
ahead
and
and do it.
this came from last year during COVID when some neighborhoods
Yes.
really emptied out and some didn't. And there was this feeling that as services were cut, things should have been reassigned to accommodate that. The city, people are back in the areas that they had left.
I agree. I don't know that we need this one.
Okay, let's just move on to the,
Yeah, I think this,
sorry, Jeffrey.
no, agree with Christine that I think this is either redundant or not relevant right now.
Okay. The next is increased funding for fixed post staff at DCP at these parks. Fund and deploy 9 traffic officers to increase enforcement of the following traffic violations. Expand existing programs for seniors meals programs. And that's all of 5. So we're really prioritizing these 3.
How come we don't have education here?
It's because the ACEs chose this Department of Sanitation. That's the top one we were just discussing about the residential occupancy patterns.
What?
ACEs made
ACEs
this
put
their
in.
number 5 priority was this sanitation request.
Oh, not on education. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Got it.
So
let's
I would,
switch it.
On this one, I would push trans all the way up. I would put the trans all the way up to the top. In fact, I would argue to put it into the 4s, but I think,
Well, we can discuss it.
yeah, we'll
later.
still get to that.
yeah,
Okay. I
mean, and it's.
would
important
prioritize
enforcement.
meals, traffic, and park.
Yeah.
I think we need to put the seniors before the transportation. I feel like we haven't had a big seniors
That's a great point. That's a
item
great
yet.
point, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a really good.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
Jesse, let's do increase home delivered as 22. Assign additional officers for DOT, or sorry, NYPD for traffic as 23. And the one above it as 24.
And are we removing this one?
And we are removing that one. We didn't get to 25. I thought we were going to get to 25. In the next round, we have expand DOE technical support. This is from ACES. We have tree pruning, conduct study of protected bike lane, and expanded code enforcement around land use in special districts. I don't know. I think I would.
Sorry, Christine, I thought the study is done and they just owe us implementation plan.
Well, yeah, that's a placeholder for that.
You're talking about the bike lane study?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, they have been promising that for 3 years now, and
Yeah,
we're
okay, you're right. Yeah, okay.
So this is a placeholder for, you still owe us a bike lane.
And then just so folks have color, because I apologize again, the WPE description is very light on detail. The Parks Department likes to have a 7-year process for tree pruning, which we are, I believe, behind on. And also many arborists feel that is not enough, given the safety issues that large trees in particular can present, frankly, hazards in our parks and on our streets. So that was why, that's what we mean by tree pruning here. It's a safety safety factor.
Okay, that is helpful, very helpful context.
It's not just making them pretty. We're not talking about just making
It's not
topiaries.
beautification.
It's about, yes.
Can that be added though into the context? Because without that, I had no idea.
No, Sabrina, it will be. Again, this is my sending off the notes very quickly after committee meeting, so I apologize for that. But that I definitely would be providing that language. So this is included in when we share it with the full board.
Yeah, and then it avoids also that the tree lose a limb and then the Parks Department come and cut the trees. So that's preventative. It's a big deal.
So I'm gonna
It's
throw
about
out,
pedestrian safety and tree health, actually. So it's sort of a both
Right.
factor.
so I'm a little torn on these, so definitely people should push back. I'm gonna say though, DOE, bike lane, tree pruning, DOB. But I'm a little bit throwing darts at the wall on this one.
Hmm.
You said
Oh,
Department of
that's-
Education,
Yeah,
bike lane, tree pruning, DOB.
That's fine.
I would move DOB just ahead of tree pruning, no?
you know,
Because
it's where I had it before. I just don't have a sense of how big the scope of the issue is.
wait, this is in 5 or 6. Oh, I'm in 6, I'm lost now. Building code. Yeah, well, the problem there is that without those special inspectors, we have had affordable buildings that have been destroyed because people have, ignored the guidelines, and there were no inspections. So it has a significant impact on affordable housing, which is our number one.
Well, isn't that addressed in, we talked about, we want people in Department of Buildings to, something about the illegal demolitions.
Well, that's what this is. I mean, we are asking for dedicated inspectors for the special districts.
But this is for the special districts. That
Right.
was illegal
That's what that is, though. I mean,
demolitions all over.
we can say, we can put in the words, I mean, Maria and Joe, this is a housing request, so I defer to Maria, but the whole point of this is that the illegal demos were happening in our special districts, and that's why they're illegal, is because it's the language around the special districts forbid it. So we should definitely, I agree with you, Bert, I think let's actually put in the words illegal demolition. So it's
Sorry,
clear.
the other thing though, I think Bert's referring to is that earlier in this, we had a request from Clue that we've already prioritized, which is around resources for updating the DOB website with around improper demolitions. So you're right that it's referenced somewhere else, but this is another piece of that, which is
Right,
that
there's
this is
two
around.
parts of it. So
Yeah.
I think Bert's right. We need to put add language into that.
So we should merge those two.
I would think we should merge them and move this up.
But inspectors aren't really website updaters.
It's two separate items.
But then this one is talking about website. So we should remove website from this one.
Sure.
Yes, I agree. I mean, in actuality, we can talk about it later. I think that what happened was, Christine, this did get merged.
Yeah.
Clearly it got merged last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to move DOB up before tree pruning?
Yeah, I would do that. I think, I don't know.
No,
Jeffrey,
no,
you tell me.
the tree pruning is an important safety factor.
It is a real, I think tree pruning.
What happened in 2019 and with the weather changing, with the
Okay,
leaves.
forget about it. Forget I said anything. I'm good.
Okay, so then Jesse,
Forgotten.
again, DOE is 25.
Got it.
And conduct traffic and parking studies is 26. Tree pruning is 27. And Jeffrey, you'll send us better language on that. And then expand code enforcement for DOB is 28. Okay, this is around syringes and having DSNY implement faster response time for syringe pickup. The next is
Wait, are we not stopping at 25 and doing the second round now?
We can, but we do still, my sense is we do still have to prioritize the rest of the list. So I think it'll be.
You're gonna go past 25.
It's up to you guys. I mean, I think you can choose to focus on the 25 and just prioritize those and let the rest of them fall where they may. And just say they're ranked in that order and not, or we can go through the whole thing. But
Yeah, especially because, we know that everything else is going by agency. So because it's going by agency, we pretty much know how it's going to go, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it stays in order of the committee. So
Right.
that's where the relevance falls, as opposed to
Right.
us determining based on wider community feedback where it falls. So I think we can leave it alone.
Yeah. And we go back on the 25 and we make sure.
The
Now, we
only thing I just want to note is, for example, under number 8, you'll see here actually increase funding for enforcement of open restaurants. So obviously we can remove that because we've already put
Yeah.
it further up. And let me just see, there's also reference later to the organics program, which I think we've already referenced above. So we should remove that.
yeah. I mean, that's right. I think if we're all comfortable with me, Jessica, and making those decisions and
Yeah.
working through those, that's fine.
Yeah.
So those are the two though that I just wanted to note.
And we may just want to eyeball the rest of it to make sure that there is not one which found its way at the bottom and then should have really been part of the 25, right? But I don't think so, because we all said they are lower. So I think we're fine.
All right.
Okay, so then Jesse, you probably want to create a break so when you sort, you don't resort the 7s, 8s, and 9s, 10s.
Yeah.
The only one I would call out. So it was given it's the last one in number 8, Jesse, about LGBT and HIV AIDS. I mean, I haven't seen a more recent statistic than 2018, but we still have a significant LGBT population, and I think we need to pay attention to the fact that we still have a high infection rate in our community district. So should this be sort of taken from the pack a little bit? This gets back to the same consideration we would give from a full circle of the community, kids, seniors, right? Depending on our populations. Should this be considered put in the mix right before it starts to just fall to community preference or committee preference? Because there really hasn't been one for health specific HIV, LGBT stuff.
Why don't we keep that in mind while we are looking at the top 25?
Of where this could fall
Where
into
it
that.
could go,
Okay.
right?
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Also, Jeffrey, we don't have anything else, I don't think, to DOHMH.
All right, so then we should definitely get it into our top 25 to make sure that it is considered in that group, even though it would only be one item to DOHMH.
Right.
Good. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Yep.
Give me 1 second.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get rid of I'm just going to create a new document with the top 25, and then I'll save as a save new. Trying to get rid of the top 28, sorry. Because like Jessica said, I don't want to sort it and we're going to get it all mixed up.
I think the syringe is something we need to bring up in the top 25.
I agree with Christine.
People are just very.
And also, I think they during COVID, they took that program away entirely. The
Oh,
syringe,
really?
the syringe collection, but I think they were bringing it Jesse, did they bring it back, or they were bringing it back? Syringe collection, or it was,
they have it back, but it's a very small task force.
okay, yeah.
So
it
what
was-
we need to identify for them some locations, right?
No,
Also, this topic was Gail in her weekly COVID call.
No,
yesterday.
Christine, you know what happens? You call it in, and it used to be, they used to come very quickly and
Right.
pick up these syringes, and then now it's, I think, right, Jesse? I know, well, Katie Savage was testifying, or it was when she was explaining all this to us in one of her presentations, that it could take now days, right?
It's
Oh.
a
Or-
staffing.
Yeah,
problem.
it's exactly.
So we
Which
need
is an
to bring,
expense budget item.
yeah, we need to bring it up.
No, right, that's what we're saying. That's why we should bring it, we should encourage more. It's a serious issue, at least in certain parts of our district.
okay. We're
right.
only messing with the top 20.
So now it goes from, okay,
Right.
so now you can sort, right?
Yeah.
A to Z. All right.
All right. We're ready whenever you guys are.
Okay, I don't know if this can work, but is it possible to make it a little smaller so we could see more at a time, or?
Yeah.
Not gonna make people's eyes hurt.
Probably
Let's give it
Probably
a try.
both. Probably both.
Oh, you know the way you do it, Jesse?
Yeah.
You can widen the field request, the column. If you widen it, it's going to shrink the,
Oh, yeah, pull out.
The
which means
rows.
it's longer.
Yeah, we don't need all those columns to the right.
So some say, how do I do that, Christine?
no, you go to
Just
request, column
widen
B,
Widen
and
the reason,
you make it wider. right.
reason, yeah.
Right, and now you can, it should bring up everything. Okay. Right, and now I don't know how to.
You have to make it smaller, you have to like go to where the number 2 is on the left and double click, and then it'll make it smaller.
What?
Where like literally in the line between 2, like put your hover your mouse
Here?
further over to the left
Oh, in the gray
and
area.
double click there, and it'll make it smaller.
Oh my gosh, that is a phenomenal trick, Madam Second Vice Chair. Thank you for that.
Madam Second.
You can also highlight everything, right click and click row height, I think, but
Oh,
that's
here it is. That would be good. Do that. Highlight everything.
right click. And then row height.
At the bottom, right?
Yeah. And this is where it gets tricky, because sometimes I'd put 30 and see what happens, but this is like experimentation happening right now. 30 is too small, so do 60.
It is perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna send this out to the public.
By the way, guys, right, this is an Excel tutorial. My husband would be so proud.
I love Excel tutorials.
That's pretty big. That's
actually.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Okay, at least this way we can see to the committees and the agencies more clearly.
Right.
So, okay, so, sorry, I see we have a note. in
You guys
the
have
chat.
better eyesight than I do. You really do.
No, I know. This is,
Jeffrey, I don't know if you can see the comments, but it's directed at your comment, so hopefully you can respond.
perfect.
Very nice.
Great,
Man,
thank you,
this
Jeff.
is good.
Okay, let's hope that this is a tool for faster,
Street
efficient
homelessness.
decision-making.
Okay.
So HHHS, expand street outreach for homelessness outreach, fix 31 dangerous intersections, service cuts to DSNY basket cleanup, help, encourage police precincts to engage more proactively with the community, fund resources for updating DOB website with priority notifications of improper demolitions, followed by another HHHS request, which is around additional, sorry.
I don't know. I would
additional
move that 1.6. 6.
affordable for shelter.
I would move it up. No?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I would prioritize, I would switch, at least I would switch 4 and 6.
Yes.
Agree.
It's a solid switch. I don't have to worry about 5.
What do you mean?
We could,
Is that what's being proposed?
I'm just moving 4 to 6 and 6 to 4.
Let's
And I'm
start
moving
there.
5.
Let's start there.
That's the first thought.
Okay.
Sorry, Maria, did you have a question?
No, I was just thinking about you're putting number 4 into number 6, but I was just thinking about, and you guys already discussed this earlier and I didn't say anything. But you were talking about number 4 and I'm on the task force. I should be clear on this, but I feel like I'm not. And what it felt like it was asking for more foot patrol, like a real allocation of the bodies that are already present. The only reason I'm thinking that too is because I know that public safety was number 2 in our survey.
Mhm.
And so feeling like that should be higher, but if Jesse and Jessica have a different understanding of what that is than I do, that's a little bit of a problem. And so I feel like I can't strongly advocate for that to be higher if it's not clear that that's what is being asked for. So
maybe we don't change that line and we swap the DOB website with the social service. I don't know. It feels
So
like.
Maria, I agree with what you're saying. What I think we're both saying the same thing though. That they weren't asking for more police, but they were asking for reallocation of people or a continuation of folks, officers being present and out in the street. I do agree. It's sort of combined into 2 different things. One is about, maintaining current funding. We have a lot of extra overtime and a lot of new divisions of business support, Midtown support program and things like that are out there that are funded but are not baseline. They're not something that happens every, they're not a precinct. It's not a baseline issue. It could be gone come 2022. There's a lot of overtime on the 8th Avenue corridor of foot patrols that could be gone in 2022. And then separate from that, I think there's the sort of what this request, I think, mostly is focusing on is saying about outreach and doing, providing more crime prevention through community outreach and engagement.
But Jesse, and I agree with you, whatever it is, and that's fine. I think it should be up pretty high. If that's what it is, only because it's something, and I don't know if we feel comfortable because it's a political thing. I'm not really quite sure. I think we're clear on what our community wants, needs, or is of interest to them. Marie, I see you're shaking your, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm nodding yes.
Okay. But I don't know if we're pushing it down because of some sort of philosophical quandary. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I'm saying
I don't think anybody's pushing it down.
No, I don't think number 4 is a push down. I mean,
oh, it's not. I'm sorry.
But
we were talking about swapping, so you're right,
Yeah.
Leslie.
okay, so that would be number 6. It's
And
still a
now
good-
that you have
still a good
talked,
spot.
and maybe because when we did the survey, crime was so big. Should we put that in number 2?
This has very little to do with crime.
Yeah, I think the problem, the way it's written is that you're asking for something, more foot patrol, and then you want to get into a social thing about it. So I think you have to be more specific.
But you know what, Bert is
you
right.
want
Bert-
NYPD to do.
Bert makes a really good point. And Bert, up in I think it was which precinct was it, Maria, that they did the 6 for 6?
It was 8 for, it was
the
8
10th.
8 for 8 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 for 8, and I believe it was
It was the
10th?
10th precinct.
The 10th.
10th. So I know the
it was
community,
the 10th.
specifically Manhattan Plaza community, but the community in that area we're hounding the cops to try an 8 for 8, which was more foot patrol, because it would be better relations in the community. They would be out there. They would be a deterrent. So Bert is right in a sense that it's not necessarily a crime thing, but it's just people feel better, or at least this group did when they were pushing this, that they could see their cops. They could go to the police if there was a guy who was, or a woman
Well,
who
they
was.
felt safer.
They felt
And
safer.
there wasn't more funding. It was just a reality.
Right.
They were just
Right.
redistributing.
Seeing a
Correct.
uniform walk on the
Officers.
street.
Yeah. And not like in their cop cars getting donuts. Really. I mean,
Right.
it's,
So, I think,
sorry, I don't mean to
I
disparage.
think this is, forget about what the text says there. From a visual standpoint and from us being responsive to the community told us crime and safety is the biggest issue. And
Right.
I think in the first 3, we should have something about the police, because that is the response. I mean, we have something about the homeless and we have something about the police. And these are the 2 subjects that really got people nuts. And so I know that the text is not exactly what we want, but
That could be edited. So yeah.
that can be
No,
edited.
Sorry,
But I
Jen.
agree with Christine. It just shows, and it's not exactly what, but yes, it's saying that this is what we
Okay, so
understand to be.
Jesse, sorry, let's just hear from.
Yeah, I would suggest not trying to, like what Christine said, not focusing on the request at hand here.
Right.
I mean, that's a separate request that has its validity and should be placed wherever we think it should be placed. But I think what you're saying, and I think we're all saying, is that we're actually creating it's our own request at this point. I don't think we should try to stick it into this request. I think we should just say what however we want to word it and say it. But I think we have a separate. My suggestion would be a
We
separate.
want more foot patrol. I mean, that's what we want. People want more foot patrol. They want to
So-
see the cops.
Can I suggest that we add a line like ahead of frequent litter basket as a placeholder, add a row that we're gonna put in something to respond to the concerns about public safety?
I think it should be ahead of the fixed 31 intersection. It should be number
Okay,
2.
great. So, sure. But I still do think, like, in a way, we need to get and I'm not sure if we can do that, how we're gonna do that here, which is get more clarity on what specifically the request is.
No,
from the
we are
task force.
creating a brand new request.
No, that I understand. Sorry, that
Okay.
we're gonna have to come to terms on what that is based on our shared understanding of the different requests that have come before us over the last year. But also, we have a request on this that we need to consider where it lives, and we're not really sure what the request is.
Well, I think you all understand what it is. It's more interaction between NYPD and a certain segment of the community. And so we understand that. And once we say the more foot patrol, then that second request is very clear.
Yeah,
Because you have removed the more foot patrol and you have put it in a separate one.
I agree with Christine.
I agree. That was my original.
Oh my God, I'm not understanding. I'm sorry. Is Christine?
What I'm saying is that,
suggesting it's
Maria,
2?
yeah, I'm saying we have 2 requests. There is one that we are creating from the survey, which says we want more foot patrol.
We're just isolating foot patrol,
Right.
Maria. We're
And
isolating.
then we are leaving the other one the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we're really,
I think I get it now.
we have 2 things, 2 different goals, and we're
Right.
trying to put them together. We have one, pardon the expression, a greater police presence on the
Right.
street. More uniforms walking on the street, not hidden away in cars. And then to make that more palliative, make it easier, to make it easier for the residents to accept that in some ways, let's humanize the cops, not just uniforms, but let's humanize them, let them know who we are, and we can get to know who they are.
Yeah, that's
These
very
are
well
really
said.
2 different kinds of asks that we're
I
putting
think,
together.
Bert, I think the fact that the cops are on the beat, that'll give the community what you're asking for in a separate ask, right?
hopefully.
So why do you have to make it as,
I don't think that's what the
why do you have to
racial
fill another
justice.
line? Why do you have to,
I don't think
take up
that's what
another
the
line?
social justice and racial task force think, or I don't
Yeah,
know. their exact
yeah.
It
definition.
may not be what they think, but that's the effective, what they're asking for.
Sorry,
look,
I'm referring to
ice
Alan.
cream
I think
social.
what Alan is, no, sorry. I think that
Ice
is fair.
cream social.
I think that is consistent with what they want, which is more increased engagement with the community will lead to less acts of bias arrest, stops, crime that's happening
Right.
between
Like more
individuals of color.
more
Exactly.
night
But
out.
what
more-
I'm saying is I don't think, Alan, you were saying, why do you need two different requests? Because they're very different in nature.
Yeah, because we do. Because one task force has asked for something, and we as the budget task force are creating a new request. So it's really, I think as a respect, you want to respect what the task force was saying. This is their field.
I think there is a question, and then Sabrina, I'll turn it, let you have the floor, but I do think there's a question of whether or not this work warrants being in the fourth spot.
Oh, no, I think once we separate it, I think it's a totally different, right? Or am I wrong, guys? Once we
Yeah,
separate it.
I think the social
bumps
aspect
all the
of
way
it should
down.
drop down
Yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just, Sabrina, and
No, I wonder if in the language we can include something like, I don't know, be part of the community, or like more community linked, because it almost feels like a disconnect. Like, oh, you're in your car, you're not being part of the community. You're not really, we don't know your name, we don't know who you are. I don't know if but I don't know if there can be a divisive language and say like,
That's why we have to say it's food patrols. What we want is food patrols specifically.
That's the number 2 item.
Right.
It's also what I said earlier on. We're asking for a change in the culture of policing.
Yeah,
Which
so I'm
is-
on the task force. I'm on the
Okay.
Social and Racial Justice Task Force. At our last meeting, there were people there was 2 police precincts there. There was a few people who came and talked about issues in the community, particularly one person who's actually on the board. And also the fact that I shared that public safety is one of the concerns on the survey. And I think that's part of the reason we talked about more foot patrols. The issue came up of if we're asking for more funding. Well, I don't want to get into it any deeper because then we can go on and on with this topic. But my point is that I think reading this over, I think it does make sense to have 2 separate, it almost feels like it's 2 separate requests. And it's not specifically the Social and Racial Justice Task Force is not asking for more funding for police officers in our community. It's asking that there just be more of a foot patrolling with the officers that already exist.
So
Also, separately asking for more community building engagement, community, specifically events. And they gave an example of an ice cream social. If that makes sense. And of course, you can see that in particular with or focus on.
I think we got it. So
you can't have a community event with just people of color and LGBTQ. With the police officers, usually that's not how it works. If you're having a community event, you invite everybody, right? So, and we're clear on that also. I don't know if I helped clarify anything.
yeah, I think that's clear.
I think we're reaching a consensus.
I think we understand.
Get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think we need to
Yes.
be careful about how we word things. For example, the second part should still say engage more proactively with increased foot patrols. So I think we can repeat all that stuff, but then the first one should be very specific about increased foot patrol.
So I guess my question to you all is whether we're saying, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like there is a lot of person power and a lot of money being spent on the current initiatives in the Midtown area and the overtime spent on 8th Avenue. I mean, there's a lot of cops on the street. And so are we saying actually that we do want more money for that and to be and more cops on the street? Or are we saying we want to keep the funding that we have in place and have it baseline for FY23.
You know what, Jesse? I would just use the word allocation, right? I wouldn't even say increased funding. I would
But
just
no,
say.
you're saying, well, I mean, if you're asking for more police, there's a line for it. So I'm saying there's a drop down that I have to put in that says we're asking for more cops. And so that's what I'm asking, is that either I'm putting in the drop in that's saying, yes, we want more officers on the street, or we're saying that we're wanting we're basically asking for the current funding and the current staffing to be maintained and baselined. That's a different type of request. It's a little nuanced. I don't know if there actually is going to be one that sort of clarifies it that well, but that's what we'd be writing in the reason.
So how about maintaining what we already have and baselining it?
That's what I'm asking. I'm just saying, if we're saying for more cops, or are we saying for the current amount
I think it's complicated because the volume of cops we have now on 8th Avenue is probably overkill.
I don't think it is.
On 8th?
On 8th, when I'm on 8th, I don't feel like it is.
Okay.
And it's only one small segment too, it's only one little, it's a few block. I mean, I don't see any up here where I am, or nor.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is
Yeah.
like when you start to go to 50th Street, etc., a lot of people complain of being scared.
Yeah.
And the task force doesn't go, the 8th Avenue Midtown Task Force doesn't go there. So it has to be a very.
Okay, so if you're wording it like that, then Christine, I think that actually makes sense. We're saying thank you for what we have, but what we want is that those initiatives and those programs to be expanded geographically, and that requires more power. I mean, that requires more people to expand them past the arbitrary borders that they were.
Yeah, the 9th Avenue or 10th Avenue. I don't even know what the avenue is.
And I'm just gonna say one thing, I'm sorry, Jesse, and it's not, how they have it on 8th and the 30s there, where they have the big lights and the mobile unit and they're just standing there. I don't know if that's what we're advocating. I think we're advocating for back when it was early 90s, early 2000s, when instead of getting in their car and driving around, we want those same patrol, because there are patrol that are assigned every shift, right, to locations. We want those patrol shifts to be transitioned, hopefully, to foot patrol shifts. Right? Is that not necessarily put big mobile units out with
that's going to Bert's sort of point, where that's the culture. That's a policy.
Yes, right.
That's not, I don't have anything to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think that goes into the need section. And that's what the task force agreed to as well. Tell me if I'm wrong, Maria, they agreed that we're not going to say in the budget section, we want more cops. We're going to express that the need for additional foot patrols is going to be in the needs portion of their text. So again, I'll just say that, like, I get what you're saying. I get most of what everybody's saying about it. It's just a difficult thread to put through if it's a budget request. Yeah. It's just, it won't, if you're going to make it number 2, I think you need to be very clear, like, that it's clearly what you're asking for. If we're asking for an expansion of the existing programs,
Midtown programs,
I think that's a clear budget request. We're asking more money.
You want to extend it to different geographies, and then we can have separately the discussion, which is essentially our second request, which says, okay, and this is the way we want to do it, that way.
Exactly.
Are you okay with that, Maria?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you for clarity. So it's just basically continuing what we already have.
No, we are saying expanding it on different geography, expanding it to some residential districts, which don't have that now.
So you're requesting more funding for more officers, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or taking them out of the cars and put them on the street, but.
Well, we know they are going to say no. I mean, and the only thing is that the question whether they're going to use all that information to go to the politician and say, look, everybody's asking for more cops.
You know what? People are asking for it too in their community council meetings.
Yeah.
So I think this is good. I mean, they're hearing it. So I think it's good if we make an official community board, yes, everything you're hearing in your.
And we qualify it. We need to qualify it.
Right.
And that request is coming from the budget task force.
Yes,
which will be adopted by the full board.
which is reflective of the survey.
Yes,
Yeah, I
Correct.
just want to make sure, I
It
mean, that we think that the community, in light of all of the different conversations and movements, obviously we've heard a lot about crime and safety, but that people are comfortable affirmatively saying that they want more funding for the NYPD. Like, we should just take a moment to reflect. I don't have an answer to this, but like, what is the kind of pushback or comment that we're going to get at the board about that? And or do we think we won't, or do we think we will, but the concerns far outweigh the concerns of the community around safety far outweigh the concerns for requesting more funding for NYPD.
so me being as blunt as possible, I just think that if it's coming from the budget task force and we're saying that it's because of the survey, it makes sense to me. If it's coming from the task force, the Social and Racial Justice Task Force, and that was something that we discussed, because I was unclear in that meeting, are we saying we want more funding? That seems antithetical to me to what the Social and Racial Justice Task Force stands for, asking for more police officers. So, but I understand
think, I think what we are saying,
and I agree with you.
right, what we are saying is that there are two things going on, right? One is there is a lot of cops, and we can see that there are a lot of cops on 8th Avenue.
Well, I agree with you already. I agree
on
with
9, etc. And then, you go to 50th Street and the meeting with the precinct council, and everybody's like, whoa, we don't have cops. We don't have enough cops, right? So it's like everything is concentrated in some area, which are the business area. The residential areas are not as well covered. So what we're asking is a better coverage there. If they can do it.
Can we actually say it that way? Enhanced coverage of, without saying that we need more funding necessarily. I mean, again, it's a fine needle to thread, as Jesse mentioned.
Right.
But I think
That's a
saying
good
enhanced
suggestion.
coverage to
Right.
like encapsulate residential areas of,
Yes,
areas
I think
highly
that's-
affected.
I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And then you have the second thing, which is, by the way, we want them to act in a certain way.
that's
So
this
we
other
want a
request.
reform, and the reform is you have to be walking, you have to have certain relation with the community, et cetera, right? And so that
Okay.
I think what we are saying is not unreasonable, and it
Jesse,
you know,
can we drop in that new language of enhanced coverage for residential areas significantly impacted by uptick in crime?
yeah,
And
I
then,
don't know where Jesse is.
I'm here.
oh,
Mhm.
okay.
But
I mean, if
on foot is important. On foot, I think, is that language.
Marina,
we can briefly state that in the budget. I just don't think that should be in my opinion,
Focus, right.
that should not be the majority of that request about the way that's allocated should be in the budget request. I think that we can briefly make that point here, but I think that needs to be in the need statement. That's all I want to say. I think that there's got to be language in the need statement saying we recognize that foot patrols, police meeting people, whatever we want to call it, is positive in many ways, but it is also completely impacts public safety, and that's why it's a need. So I just don't want us to get too into filling this one.
But also that's why we want to expand it from Midtown, business task force to some residential areas.
No, I agree with you. I think it's a valid request. We have 2 working programs that we think that are useful and impactful on public safety in our district. We are not just asking for a blanket more cops on the street concept. We're saying that these 2 programs seemingly have a positive impact, and we would like them to be expanded in the upcoming year. I think that makes sense.
Okay, I just want to note one thing, and then I'll turn to ask Sabrina to chime in. It's a little unclear to me, at least, where in the document this goes, because our document does not have a public safety section. So if anybody has a chance.
No, there is a public safety section.
There is. It's traditionally used for mostly transportation. That's what we're familiar.
No, but we modified it this year.
Okay.
Dolores already modified it.
Great. Okay, then I take that back. Sabrina.
Yeah, I just go back to your point earlier that if this is going to be an issue at when we're explaining this, because it's a controversial topic. We need to be realistic about it. But I think, the wording is really important. And I think that we just did that before I raised my hand. And then we're prepared that we're reflecting something in the survey. And that's what we're doing here. Because again, it's just, it's a controversial topic, period.
Which is one of the reasons why I don't think necessarily we want to move the task force.
I hear that now.
request,
I hear that.
right?
I see that point. Actually, I almost,
Right.
part of me even wonders if they should be exactly adjacent to each other.
Right.
Because in a way they are a package, but I think
I would agree to put them ahead of the transportation, because that's the way it is in the survey.
Excuse me. She is correct. Christine is correct.
I think a package is more, I think it's important. Sabrina's point is valid, and I think putting them right back to back is a solid.
Yeah.
It's a solid statement.
And it goes back to what you were saying, Jesse, that there's already money in here allocated for your previous topic. Then not to put it as a priority because there's already funding for this. Isn't what you were saying before?
Yeah.
It's not going to be new under the request section, under the request column. This is not going to say more officers, because that's not what we're saying. So it's going to be either I've got to figure out what the wording is going to be, because it's a nuanced thing. I have to look at what my choices are and see what would most best fit this, so it'll be something like expansion of, if it's considered a crime. I don't know what NYPD considers these programs. So if they consider them crime prevention, or they consider them just
Community
initiative, then we'll call it that, and then followed up by if I'm guessing what we're leaning towards is then followed up by the crime prevention request by the task force.
Can I ask, Jeffrey, what is your opinion? I'm looking at you. What do you think? No, I'm being serious. I'm not goading you. I'm being very honest.
I mean, on the topic of
where we're placing it and how we're wording it.
I have to be honest, I kind of zoned out of the conversation because I didn't want to continue on this route, but I think we have a very fine line to walk here.
I just
Can I say something? I think part of what we do with the statement district needs is for the public. And I think it's been brought up over the past years. So whether or not the issues, I know they're important issues, but everything is perception sometimes. So depending on what is happening on any particular time, something happens on your street, something happens on someone else's street, that becomes a major issue. What sells newspapers, so to speak, sex and crimes or whatever that. So it becomes a very personal issue to the person who views this. So what we do in terms of these funding, these requests, is not so much for the issue itself sometimes, but for the community that perceives it as an issue. Yeah. So, that you need to take that into effect also.
Jesse, we depend on you for good wording.
No. That's when
I'm saying you should keep the issue of the NYPD up on the top, and just work out the wording, because if it comes up at the board and someone complaining about why we don't want more cops, or we don't want to fund them.
Well, that's definitely gonna happen.
I can make
you can't get everything you want and not have to pay for something or
I'd like to make a language suggestion. I'd like to make a language suggestion based on existing NYPD programs.
Or
we have direct
a reallocation of existing staff.
Yes, that's what we said, reallocation.
reallocation.
Or like get your asses out of the car.
That's not a budget request.
That's not a budget request. We keep on going back to this.
That's not a budget request.
Not a budget
Exactly.
request.
You gotta
But
stick-
Jesse is going, I
stick with
mean,
the
Jesse is
program.
going to find the text.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I would say improve the management and structure of the NCO program, which is, again, about having police dedicated. I'll stop, Jesse, never mind.
That's policy. That's a policy.
Jesse's
That's a policy.
dying.
thing. That's a
No.
policy.
Guys, I think we got to an
Yeah,
agreement.
I think we're
mean,
okay. I shouldn't have.
I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion? I will do a draft, okay? And I will
Yes.
send it to
Thank you.
Jessica. And if
All
Jessica
trust
feels-
is with you, Jesse.
if Jessica feels that I'm somewhere on the right page, right, she'll send it around and we'll be comfortable with it. I think we will have this discussion at full board. I think if we didn't include it, you're going to have this same discussion when we get up and say the number one concern is crime and public
Safety and not have it, right?
and not have anything significant in this ballpark. And I think it shows a sign that we recognize that there has been an initiative. You know, it's not, you know, the organization itself is not perfect. We know that, but there has been a significant amount of dedication of, you know, of money and hours to try to resolve some of this. And so I think it makes sense. So,
Yeah. And people on the board hear the testimony day after week after month after month. I mean, they hear it.
all right.
Right.
So,
So I want to propose,
this is just a placeholder. So again,
this is a placeholder for everyone watching online. This is a placeholder. Yeah, Jesse, so we're just gonna adjust the numbers, but we're also gonna move what was 4 up to number 3. So we're
Number
gonna,
2 to the old number 2.
well, it's gonna now be 3.
It's 3 now.
So if you want
I
to
know,
cut
but
and
on
paste
each
for,
page. Poor Jesse.
that stays 2. No, Jesse, that stays 2.
oh, I'm sorry.
That stays 2. The one below it becomes 3.
Thank you.
Below it becomes 4. Skip that. And then everything becomes a +1. So 3 stays now. Oh, sorry.
No.
No, you have
No,
to
no, no.
change. 3
No, that's
becomes
4.
4.
That's 4.
Right.
That's 4. This is 3 and this is 5.
Right. And everything else is +1.
Yeah. Okay.
And you don't have to change it.
I'm not going to do that here because that's going to drive me.
No.
So,
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
all right. Anything
have-
else?
we have homelessness, we have increased, expanding the presence of these highly effective programs. We have working with police to make them engage more with the full breadth of our community. We have fixing 31 dangerous intersections. We have sanitation cuts. We then have expand website resources
Are
for
you moving up? We can't see it.
I'm sorry. hold on.
he's working in that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just adding some regular this traditional budget language to that statement.
Okay, so then we have DOB website followed by expanding placement for homeless individuals, placement support, followed by another sanitation, and then support for CB, the community board office.
All right.
Can I have an I don't know. I'm sorry. I have something, but I'd like to bring it up. I'll wait.
Well, let's just get through 10 and see if we're comfortable with our top 10 being, sidewalk capacity and outreach funding, expand funding to outreach staff to increase the number of summer youth employment placements. So
Should 11 be moved up somewhere? And then we had, what did we have? We had, oh, we can do it later, but I don't know. We have NYCHA. We had that discussion where is it in the capital budget?
well, this
And-
request here is for the workers to.
No,
is for
I
the
understand, but the question was raised whether it should be,
Should
Oh,
Zero.
matched with the other.
right.
Well, one is for new elevators and one is for maintenance. I mean,
I'm
that's
not,
what,
I'm not really sure what it means to match them.
Okay, forget about
I
it.
don't think they are
Right.
matchable.
But then the other question is that should the NYCHA be higher?
I think
Because
what-
affordable
what Sabrina was-
housing is the top priority, right?
Sabrina was trying to think, I say this is that the elevator, the maintenance elevator request should be in the general same ballpark as the
Okay.
Right.
request. So it's not, so it's,
Yeah,
Match as a match is like,
right.
So I would
go-
think if,
priority matches.
if I could suggest if we could get the elevators in the top 10, I think saying that this is in our top 10 priority
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Yeah, I think
And
night
it'll
shots
be on
should
our
be in the top 10.
10 priority in the capital also.
Right. What is?
So can I make the suggestion then that I will tell you this, like the OTS budget thing for us that's a citywide, that would be requiring 59 community boards to get, the 40,000, what we're asking is for the 40,000 additional dollars that the council, on their own, without the city's, help at all, approved for 2 years. I think that is, I have high doubts about that. I like it.
You want to swap?
I'm okay with moving that down for things like
night shot. Okay,
So can we,
even almost all of this stuff, I think.
let's do.
can we
yeah.
just swap them then? Can we move NYCHA to number 8 and 8 to 11? Yeah, 8 to 11.
That's what we can, if you're all comfortable with that.
Yeah. And I have 2 more than I thought, AIDS and the syringe.
Right. We don't want to forget the Department of Health and Mental Health with
Right.
the HIV. Not necessarily in the top 10, but I would certainly want in the top 15.
You see, for example, we have the other cleaning requests, monitor areas where residential trash is piling up. Could we put the syringe there?
It's an entirely separate issue. I mean,
We
Can
could
we,
also,
can we filter, Jesse, for the DSNY asks, and let's just
Oh,
see them,
yeah, that's a good
see
idea.
them in one place? We know that's been a pretty serious issue.
I think we could also move down the organics collection program and replace it perhaps with the HIV request.
Okay,
I would be okay with that.
That makes sense, Bert, to me also.
yeah.
I have a question with the HIV section. Why are we highlighting those providers only? It's just because they're unique to the community only?
no, I think initially that was a general, we didn't list them out. We didn't list out specific providers. That was a kind of a very general thing. And so when you ask for that in the document, on the program, it says, are you asking this for like specific, operations? Or are you saying this just sort of generally?
No, I mean, because in general, I mean, obviously, conflict of interest, but I work for Housing Works and they have a big campaign on this, it's specifically in our district because of.
Oh, no, I mean, if there's I think we listed brick and mortar locations in our district. So, I mean.
Isn't
Yeah,
it about medical services though?
Absolutely. West 37th Street, and they're going to open one on 48th Street.
Got it. Okay.
So we
So I
should
think-
include that in there then.
We're all comfortable with that. We can add those addresses in.
Sure.
Sabrina, if you don't mind sending them to me, that would be great.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so just
You're
in our top 20 here, we have 5 requests for DSNY. So reinstating basket pickup, monitoring areas, increased funding for organics, restore frequency of mechanical broom sweeping, and greater enforcement around compliance for alternate side.
I mean, I don't mind 5 DSNY requests in our top 20, frankly.
Yeah, me neither, Jeffrey.
But I just want to note, I'm not opposed, I'm not
No, but I think
I'm
one
not
of them,
countering that, but in the sense that we have the HIV request, and I think one other that we need to work into the top 20 or 25. It sounded like there was a suggestion maybe we could take organics out of the top 20 and slide HIV in.
there are
I mean,
two
what-
things.
Sorry, Christine, go ahead.
Yeah, there are 2 things that need to be slided in. One is the syringe removal, and the second one is not 1 and 2. I mean both. HIV. So if I look just at DSNY, you know, we have the corner pickup basket, we have the residential trash, the organics, mechanical broom, sanitation police, mechanical broom. We have the mechanical broom. Oh, the second one is
It's,
not.
yeah,
in
it's
there,
coming
right?
up. Yeah.
Okay.
one of the-
So what do you think? Where do you think the syringe should be in that list? That's my question.
Just, well, I agree with, I would agree with Jessica's suggestion.
Which is
Well, the only, considering the environmental discussion that WPE has been trying to have, we're talking about trash. The only thing on here that would benefit a reduction in trash and improvement in the environment is organics.
Yeah.
So I would prefer to keep organics in our top 20 and willing to move something else around from an environmental and trash reduction standpoint.
Well, then
but
I think
understand-
number 7, monitor areas. I mean, I know this is a little bit idealistic to say, but if you were to get corner basket pickup reinstated and mechanical broom sweeping, you see a pretty significant improvement that, like, why do we need to monitor what is hopefully going to be an improved situation?
Agreed.
I know it doesn't all work out that way,
Well,
but
Blake was in charge, like kind of did this, right, Alan? Just correct me if I'm wrong.
he did the ACEs request, though. I just want to note. So his would be, or I don't know if he also
Yes,
did.
no, you're right, but
W.
I think the residential trash and the pickup are two very, very separate things. Very, you know, so the residentials it's both the same agency, obviously, but it's.
So
Well,
again,
really,
my question, very simple question from everybody is that if we have syringe pickup, where should it be in this order?
Right.
it's
So I
the
was going to
most-
say, would you put it over sanitation police for alternate side?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's.
Yeah.
But the sanitation request, basket pickup should be first.
And it is.
Yeah, so you are saying above the increased compliance with alternate sites, so it could be number 19, right? That's what we're saying?
Well, it would become, I would think that syringe would become 20.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
and then 20 will become 25.
Oh, Jesse, it's not on your list because we didn't, you created a new
Stop.
sheet.
Right,
I'm sorry?
You created a new sheet, so everything we didn't prioritize is
Oh,
no
okay,
longer
sorry.
here.
yeah, that's
Okay.
one.
Okay.
So if you want to just add in
I
a
want to make a
row,
note at the bottom.
Yeah, well, all right, can I move off of this filtered?
sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
So you are going to 20. Why 8?
Yeah, so 20 now becomes syringe.
Okay,
And then the one below it needs to it's just gonna go in the order of all the other requests. You're on mute, Jesse, but
Right, so everything just drops down from there.
no,
Oh,
sorry, DSNY greater enforcement is going, I think we're saying like, we're gonna put that back in just the regular order of things. Like, it's not gonna be in our top 25 anymore.
yeah, like 27 or whatever it is,
oh, okay, you're removing it. Okay, got it.
right?
Not on the top.
Okay, but we do still, and it feels like this might be, maybe we need to do the rest 11 through 20, but I feel like the biggest issue we now need to resolve is just figuring out where we want to include this increased services for HIV AIDS.
Yeah. So you want to look at, we need to look at everything.
So maybe let's just,
First of all, is
it
that,
seems
is
like
that
we
in
were
the,
pretty solid on our top 10. So I
Well,
think,
I was going to ask, is it in the first 10?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it in the first 10 or below?
HIV
think-
AIDS?
I
I would
had-
think it'd be below, personally. but-
I had suggested it be in the next grouping after the first.
So
that's why
the
I-
next
That's why I
5.
had suggested to replace organics, which I think I had down as 15
Yes,
originally.
that's right.
Can we just slot it in there and organics drops down one and does our 20, what is our number 26? And does that become, do we mess up the whole top 20 or top 25 if we do that?
Well, again,
Also-
that is whether we want, I mean, it's syringe, where we just put syringe in there, so that becomes 21 if they're.
Yeah, we
all-
would want syringe in 20, right? In the top 20 or no?
It
we
will
just-
be 20. Oh, okay.
No, it would be popped out.
I just also,
How about for open streets? I would, the HIV to me is more important, I mean, than planters and signage. I mean, I think it's a more important subject. I think it's more important. I mean, I think it's a,
That's fair. Where is it? Where is open
that's
street?
19.
What?
That's 19.
Oh, yeah, you can swap that.
So 19 is now going to become
21.
HIV.
expanded services for HIV AIDS.
I would put it before the broom sweeping, but it was combined. I'm confused now where things are. I would put in 18 where 18 is now.
Let's see it at 19 and see how that feels. Because I also want to revisit 16.
So again,
We don't know yet.
We don't know about what we're doing with open streets?
Well, let's look at it. I think syringe should be before open streets.
oh, that's right, Jessica. Is 16, I'm jumping ahead. Is that even a budget request? Are we
I'm not familiar. It says fund the
Yeah.
creation of an educational public awareness campaign. So I
Yeah.
think that
They're-
is a
they're asking-
request.
They're
Okay.
asking them to spend money on advertising, so yeah, it's a budget request.
It's an expense budget, yeah.
And who is that? The public awareness is so that people speak up about inappropriate policies that we might not know about, but are obviously harmful.
But we're asking the NYPD to do that? To-
Right.
I mean, come on. We're requesting the NYPD to tell us what they're surveilling, or I know.
Because they
I'm
have a
asking-
task force, they have an initiative going on.
Right. So the task force
really
wrote,
do.
the task force wrote, I believe, at least one letter, maybe two on this. They had NYPD come and speak about this. The NYPD had an open comment session when they were, updating the surveillance information. So I think really this is about educating the public as to what the actual current surveillance does and doesn't do. And so somewhat make sure people understand that they are being surveilled and how it's being used, but then also,
Right.
demystifying it and saying, it's not what it's not, So,
I mean,
I am comfortable moving that down.
Me too.
I
I
recognize
think-
I have not been part of those discussions, but
Maria,
I agree with Jessica.
I agree with Jessica.
okay, me too.
We could also move the install 4 sidewalk extensions.
No, I don't want to do that because this is for safety. These are neck downs. And we've been working on that forever.
Can I just ask which number are you
And
talking?
Christine has been so good this meeting at giving us some stuff.
No, Jesse, Jesse,
Okay, Christine, you have it.
no, we
Okay.
spend money. Listen, we spend money of
I was just saying, looking at it, it's only 4
Sure.
sidewalk extensions.
okay. So we're going to keep that, but Maria was asking, where do we want to move the surveillance to? Is that right, Maria?
No, I wasn't asking. I was asking which one were you just discussing? Was it number 19, that one?
We were talking about adding the AIDS HIV related request to 19 and potentially moving syringe request up before open streets.
Yes.
And then we were also discussing moving down the creation of the public awareness, presumably to after open streets. Or maybe it's before open
Can you
streets.
roll up? Can you roll up a little bit so we can see what's happening after that?
This is before.
No, but I want to see what's happening after. Where?
Jesse, you're muted.
Rolling down.
Keep going down.
Christine, are you part of WPE?
Part of what?
No.
Are you on? You're on WPE?
No.
Oh,
I'm WPE. Why? What's the question?
well, it was a comment. I just have to share that 2 or 3 years ago, I was walking in the street with my son and he was looking at those mechanical broom sweepers and he's like, you know what? Those things don't do anything. They just push dirt around. You should talk to the community board about it.
This is funny.
He was like 13 or 12 or something.
But
funny
it's
like that.
sanitation. It's ACE.
Yeah, that's
Okay. All right.
Okay, so are we comfortable doing 19 AIDS HIV request, 20 syringe, 21 open streets, and 22 surveillance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, hold on. I'm sorry. Where is the open streets now?
Sorry, so wait, just stay where you are. HIV AIDS is 19. Then go
Yep.
down 1, go
Okay.
down 2, that's 20. You got that? Okay, right, sorry. It was a slow on my computer.
Yeah, but
Right,
isn't
that
your
one
16, isn't
that
your
one
16 now
is now
blank?
21.
Leslie, please.
Sorry,
Just 1 second.
sorry.
Sorry. So
Open
expanding
streets
open
is
streets is
21.
21. 21. Thank you.
And then, but then to complicate things, the public awareness becomes 22,
Got it.
16 becomes 22, which probably means everything is now -1.
That's what I was
Just
saying.
remove
16 is now
16.
removed. Yeah.
I'll figure that out. That's
And
all.
where,
Okay,
where do we
can
have the
you-
organics collection now?
We'll fix this post and post.
Well,
There's
it
still
stayed in
13.
the same thing. It stayed in the same
So
place.
Jeffrey made a compelling case for keeping organics high up, as we have like shore power on capital. No, I'm supporting you. I'm
Yeah,
saying he made a
What
compelling-
about the
This is my
the
supporting voice.
seniors? Aren't the seniors a little too? Aren't seniors a little too low there? Go to
I
the
was going to
bottom.
call out the senior factor also, that maybe
Yeah.
seniors need to go ahead of surveillance.
Where is it
They are.
now?
They
I
are
don't
now.
even see it.
They are. So.
Oh, I missed. Okay,
seniors-
I apologize.
I'm not clear on where where are seniors now?
It was like maybe 22 or 23, I think.
At least.
Oh. They're
It's a
that low?
difference. It was this was the DIFTA foods, maybe. Let's see.
Yeah,
Scroll down a little bit,
It's a
Jesse.
meal program.
Yeah, the meals, expanding the meal.
It's 22.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yes.
I agree, we should. Well, now it'll be, I just want to note, 22 is now 21 because we're moving everything up 1. But I
I
We
would
just-
put.
would agree that
Do
it should.
we just want to switch that out with the education, the surveillance thing?
Mm,
I mean, that I would be okay doing for sure.
Jesse, say that one more time.
Yep.
I said just switching out the DIFTA 22, right? So 22 becomes,
But we got a lot of 21s now.
oh, wait.
22 becomes 22.
No,
Great.
22 becomes 22. Never mind.
Yeah. But we should put
So it's 21. It's ahead of it.
I can resort it. Let me resort.
Yeah, why don't you resort? We're totally lost by now.
I mean,
Also,
I'm a
let
little
me just
biased.
throw out-
I'm a little biased. I feel like the senior meal program needs to be much higher than that. And I actually went to Project Find today and I saw the long line of the seniors
Yeah.
waiting to get meals. And, you know, it's a lot of seniors in our community. There's even seniors who come as far as Queens to eat at Project Find over here. So
I
So
agree.
I might suggest that we, seeing as there are more seniors in our district than there are people living with AIDS,
Did not-
HIV AIDS, I would move them up before.
Like 20% for seniors in the district.
Agreed.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
That's a good point. I should have had that stat.
So where
Thank
is
you,
the
Jessica.
AIDS now? Where was
AIDS,
it?
HIV
Okay,
AIDS
it's
now
19. So you want to put them in
I would just,
before 19 and everything
Um,
goes down.
yeah,
I'm sorry, so this is the DIFTA? Hold on. I
Yes.
just almost screwed everything up by.
So
messing up.
Jessica, what was now bumped out of 20? I'm sorry. What was the 20th one that's bumped or no? It's not.
well, right, I mean, now we're a little, basically, we're gonna wind up like the things that are 20, 21, 22, 23, like flood proofing, additional unarmed officer or uniformed officers, excuse me, and maintenance are all gonna be
So
kicking down.
syringes are cut off, right? Syringes are cut off still at 20?
No, the cutoff is 25.
Yeah,
No, I know. I'm saying the cutoff of top 20.
The
Not
top 25. That's what I'm saying.
no,
I know, but Leslie's just asking
I'm
what.
just saying that what's the top 20? I'm just,
Okay.
So,
So I'm sorry, are we doing
Yes.
seniors at 19?
yes. Can we, sorry, I just need to see 19 again. 19 then. Or let's see, 18 and 19.
If it's 19, then
okay.
oh, well,
yeah, sure.
HIV
So
and everything is
19 becomes 20.
plus one. It's plus one.
Let's just maybe do a few of these just to see if we
Okay,
can
I'll
quickly
see.
clean this up. Jesse, can you make 19, 20? And then and then add-in syringe request is 21. And then we said DOT is 22. And then sorry, if you go up, because we said then surveillance comes after open streets. So we should just make sure, yeah, so that becomes 23. And then now 20, like
You have to go to the 21. This one is
exactly, so
24.
that becomes 24. 20,
No, this one is gone. This one is gone above, right? 19. 19 is now,
Yes,
oh
we
yeah.
move
right.
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's already
I'm taking care
19.
of that. Yep,
So
Uh,
25 on this one.
so right,
So-
Jesse, 23 becomes 25. Park maintenance becomes 26. And iPads becomes 27.
Oh, this is a nightmare. All right.
So we have solved for one going through the top 25. We've solved for getting in a public safety request, a little bit of language TBD, but we seem good there. We have seniors in our top area, like the things that define our district, right? We have a homelessness issue, a affordable housing issue. We have requests we have NYCHA up in the top. We have seniors, individuals living with HIV and AIDS. We have our human services needs met, Alan.
and all our trash.
Nothing on culture and arts this year.
I don't, well, you're right. We have, is the mural somewhere in here?
Yeah, later on.
Arrows there.
Yeah, it's later
Yeah.
on.
But that was really the only request we had. That
There
and
was a
Chashama.
request-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chachama. The mural is really, the city isn't going to fund the mural, I think, or whatever agency that we're requesting it from. I think that really has to come from the elected. So I don't know if that's something, and maybe even Chashama also is more of elected. So, you know, which one is more likely to get funded from a city agency?
Yeah, but the money.
Chashama has a really good, like, they're in buildings now all over Manhattan and developers are paying them. I know as a nonprofit, I work in nonprofit, like it's hard. And I think that they are really well positioned and
Okay.
much.
I
All right.
agree.
No, I got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
we
I
said the
got you.
same thing, actually, Jessica and Aces. We were saying that, yeah.
I think it's very cool and I think it's good for street life. It's like I have
Yeah.
nothing but positive things to say about the concept, but
I wanted to ask something. in the section where we have our three priorities, I think sanitation is one of them. Sanitation.
No,
No,
Yeah.
it's traffic
Fine.
air quality.
And that's from the survey, correct?
Well, Our
Not the
three
survey,
histor-
in our statement.
our statement priorities are housing, public safety, and traffic air quality.
Oh,
Historically,
but,
it had been neighborhood preservation, and what now feels like not a big deal,
Right.
but I think people were even concerned about removing that and adding in public safety because it has been a priority for so long.
Right, no, what I wanted to suggest is possibly in one of the sanitation requests, is there somewhere we can stick in let's loop in something about an educational program for residents? Because we're asking sanitation to pick up more baskets, this, that, and the other, but a lot of what is happening on the street is residential garbage going into the baskets. So is there some way to attach some sort of a educational outreach by sanitation to either block associations or something about, curtailing or asking residents to, not
Well, have we?
not use the public
An educational
baskets.
program for sanitation seems to me more attuned to be with the organic collections.
Yeah, but organics isn't going to stop people from taking their house garbage and throwing it in.
It's also not going to
in-
stop commercial people
baskets.
from putting their garbage in the.
I just
Very
wonder,
clear.
Alan, like,
Well,
have
They're
we-
not supposed to do it,
right.
period.
Okay, but
But
question
Alan,
of
sorry, have
enforcement.
we heard on that? Like, I don't think that ACES has like, have we engaged on this topic to know that an educational outreach campaign would be beneficial? Like, I mean, it sounds kind of
well,
silly,
we,
but
we
like,
haven't- we
I don't
haven't
even
we
know.
haven't addressed it. That's why I thought maybe somewhere in the summary section or something like that.
Oh,
there
well,
could
in the
be
statement of
a
district
request.
needs, we can look at if there's language within any of those areas where referencing improved communication and education would be like, we're going to be exploring that.
Okay. One other thing. I was on city council today, having a committee on DOIT, DOITT, on the 311. And it seems like there's a lot of activity now. There's a couple of bills on the floor that they're trying to get 311 to, redesign itself and upgrade itself. Perhaps we can do something in that, in some part of the summaries or anything like that, how important 311 is to the community in terms of data processing and, making agencies aware. Is there something we could, just put in there that we support upgrading and processing and getting 311 to upgrade itself and provide better service or something like that? That's all.
But Alan, I think this is much more powerful if you send a letter to do that in a very specific
Okay, so
way.
then that's a different conversation. Then do we want to bring them back at some point somewhere?
Right, but I think if you bury that in the middle of the statement of district needs, it's not going to have the same punch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll bring them back in at some point somewhere,
Right.
transportation or something or basis. Okay.
DOIT presenting to ACES was my first ACES meeting. Okay, Jesse.
I had I put in a memo to you guys in the Dropbox about 2 expense suggestions. They can be, if everybody's comfortable, I'm putting them anywhere on the list, way below on the bottom. But there was one was for making sure that there's a funding line for small business support with all of the DDC projects that we have coming through our district. We've got about 5 or 6 of these multi-year street projects that deal with sewer and water tunnel work. And on many occasions, they have just really strongly negatively impacted small business. And what we've discovered is one project will have some funding for like signage to help the business. Another project won't. One liaison will sort of have a little more flexibility to do something. The other one won't. And so we're gonna have a big one coming through Chelsea that's gonna split between us and CB5 in probably in 2023. And so what I've learned is unless we put in a request early and say like this is a major thing that the community cares about, that we want to make sure that there's budgeted for some of that. So when it does impact the small business, there's some kind of help there for them. So it's to DDC and to DEP because the funding comes through DDP, but DDC is the actual agency that does the work. And so I would request that that's the one request, which is just making sure every project that comes to us has some funding allocated for that, for small business support. And then the other one was what we discovered at the borough at the borough budget consultations, was that Department of Health and Mental Hygiene's inspectors for rats have basically been have to be redirected to focus primarily on following up on inspections for establishments not following COVID vaccination rules. Meaning they're not requiring people to show vaccination, and so someone complains, and then they have to send a DOH inspector, and that ends up being one of the all of the inspectors. It's not just rat inspectors, but rats is in particular something that's very quality of life, obviously, to us. And the number of rat complaints we received obviously has increased. They came to 47th Street, 48th Street came out at our full board, and it's pretty much across the board. So the way I worded it was that, if the inspectors are not redirected back to their, initial, their original intent with the new administration, that by FY23 there needs to be a funding increase for additional inspectors under Pest Management Division in Department of Health. And so I would just ask if we could include those two requests. Again, anywhere they could be bottom of the line, but just so that's making a placeholder.
That sounds good. I mean, you should, Jessica and you should decide where it goes,
If everybody's comfortable with that, then okay.
I particularly like Jessica's tight grin over that suggestion also. So yes.
Jessica's so tired of talking to me. It's crazy.
Okay, so we're gonna add those two. We'll work it in. We're not, I would say, sounds like we're pretty, we've spent a lot of time now solidifying our top 25. So
Hey, Jess, before we go on, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
this is a wording thing. This is not a placement or anything. Can you just scroll? There was one thing about enforcement, about bicycles on sidewalks or something like that. Can we add in, and I don't know if.
was that at the end list?
Yeah, I think it's like one of the, it's a trans right there. The fund deploy 9 traffic officer, that thing. Bicycles riding on sidewalks. Can we, since we're doing, it touches upon the bicycles riding on sidewalks, can we add in the motorized vehicles on the bike lane? Or like now that we're seeing mopeds on bike lanes and motorcycles on bike lanes and.
But a very careful distinction. Mopeds are allowed on bike lanes. They are not allowed on the greenway. There's a very distinct distinction.
Well, and depending what you call mopeds as well, we should say illegal riding on bike lanes.
Yeah.
And you say illegal, then they can figure what's legal and illegal.
Electric
say-
vehicles.
Can we
No, it's
say,
not
have to do
electric
electric.
vehicles. There is a lot of electric vehicles
No?
which are legal.
so can we
Yeah,
say to increase enforcement of the following traffic violations and with a focus, can we add it in there, like with a focus of curbing illegal?
No, not with a focus, just add at the end.
Yeah, just, I mean, because I know we're hearing a lot about bicycles going the wrong way, or like.
You
they're
can say
now
bicycle
motorized.
riding on sidewalk, we can add bicycle going the wrong way, and then we can say, oh, here it is. Bike
Oh, it's
pass,
there. I'm sorry.
illegal electric bikes, vehicle booking.
Okay,
bike
it's
lane.
there.
You already
So-
have it when you clicked on the, thank you.
Okay. So so we have our top 25. We're gonna add in 2 more that Jesse just referenced. We still have some work to wordsmith and get right. We're gonna get some additional language from folks here. So well as Jesse and I are going to do some work to clean this up. But I think we have a consensus. We also have now solidified a consensus, I believe, on capital. And as we mentioned, there's still work to be done on the statement of district needs, which people are still sending things in, but the exec did approve on Monday. Sabrina.
This is just a comment. I was just looking, and it seems like there's 5% of people in Chelsea who live with HIV currently, which is very high. So yeah, it seems that it's our district has one of the highest rates. Again, this is just a browsely because it brought to my attention what Jeffrey was saying, and I don't know, there's also could be incorporated in the narrative. I don't know, but it's worrying to say the least.
You know, Jessica is going to tell you, send me the language.
No, I'm happy to consider that language.
Learned
but
it
I also,
from the best.
But I also think that's that number, having that number specifically affirms why seniors will be above that request.
Yes.
Seeing is that number.
Yeah, seniors it's 14%. I checked too, but I mean, just in Chelsea, 5% is high.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, I think we need to vote on this, but
Yeah, I would make a motion to adopt the orders established at Monday's capital discussion meeting and our expense discussion here this evening.
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
What a fantastic job.
Any abstentions? Okay. not
I mean,
eligible.
technically, I'm abstaining because I wasn't here for the discussion, so.
That makes sense. Thank you for joining us. Jesse, is there something we're leaving out? I'm leaving out that we still need to do?
No, I mean, you just voted on both the budget request and the statement of district needs. You guys are off the hook for a little bit. Well, Jessica's certainly not off the hook.
I am not off the hook. I'll take, as Christine noted, I will take your suggestions. We will update things, and Dolores, happy to review these with you and send them out, seeing as, you know, your feedback is.
and Jesse, you're going to send us the
Sorry,
language on that?
I did send, during the middle of your meeting, I apologize, some of those language issues that we had talked about earlier today, and perhaps that's just distributed across the task force and for folks to see whether that jives with the conversation I missed for the last 2 hours, sorry.
Great, absolutely. So once we get a little bit more, because I think there are some other outstanding contributions, but once I get those, then Dolores, I will add them to your suggestions and circulate that. Bert, you wanted to?
Yeah, Jesse, you're going to send us the language for that number 2 again on the police?
Well, yeah, I'm going to make a draft. I'm going to send it to Jessica. I'm going to let Jessica make whatever suggestions or changes she would like, and then I think she can send it out to to you guys. Again, you know, we voted on it, so I just want to be clear. Like, I think the real next time we can really kind of, you know, we can tweak little things here or whatever. But if it gets into the content conversation, that's a committee thing, and that needs to be public. And so, just to be clear, I don't, you know, I don't want to cut off discussion, but I don't also want to get us into an issue where we're doing something committee business, not in a public setting.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
I do. Yeah.
Just before we leave, we sort of did jump the gun a little bit. Jeffrey was very quick with the motion. We do have 2 people from the public still here. They haven't raised their hand, or some of them maybe ask questions, but if they do have something they want to ask or at least mention, you know, for us to understand why they're here, please. There we go. That's what I thought. So if that's all right, we can. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jessica.
I was actually just going to say we have members of the public, and I wanted to acknowledge that we got a comment, and that, as with all of our meetings, if someone has an inquiry, as was shared here, that contacting the district office for them to speak with Jesse to figure out where their question or complaint or whatever it may be, their inquiry is best positioned, is typical protocol. So we're grateful for the inquiry, and we'll be sure to follow up if you email Jesse, and we get you to the right person. But yes, whoever has joined us, Leslie.
I think we know them. Hi, Leslie, you with us?
Leslie, you are on mute.
Oh, there we go. Nope, not still on mute. There we go. Leslie, you're off mute, so we can hear you if you want to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
My one question that I had, which is about district needs and affordable grocers for the neighborhood. For example, we had Styles in the past, and Styles on 52nd Street no longer exists, and there aren't inexpensive places to go to get food products in our neighborhood anymore. We have, of course, the Amish, which is you walk in and they take one leg off or one arm off. So it's very expensive. Is there something that we can do to bring that kind of establishment into the neighborhood? That's my question as a district need.
Sure. So,
Well, I'll just say, Leslie, just a little background. I mean, every project we have ever advocated for that has a space possibly for a grocery store, we're always advocating for a grocery store that meets the needs of the community, meaning like it's not expensive, it's inexpensive. Slaughterhouse is going to have one for sure. Other projects we've worked on, we've always advocated for a grocery store. So so that's what we're doing on, I think, on a work end of it. I would defer to Jessica. I think we could possibly mention it in some language into the district needs section somewhere.
I think it is already, there is language in the district needs statement already that mentions that, while we also seek affordable housing, that folks are finding that it is more expensive for them. So there's a mention of services and that are more expensive for our community. So we can probably just expand that.
Is that part
Thank
of
you.
the MTA site?
Yes, that was presented as that that developer
Yes,
was
true.
looking
I
to
forgot
add
about that.
a grocer to that site as well.
Okay.
Yes.
great.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
Was there anyone else, Jesse, who?
The other person did not raise their hand and not put anything in chat to my knowledge. Maybe I didn't catch it, but so no, I don't think
Okay, great.
I think it's good. We can take a motion to adjourn if you want.
So moved.
Bravo. Motion to adjourn.
Bravo.
Great.
Hey.
Thank you all.
Bravo.
Very good job. This is 7:30. Whoa.
I know. I do want to tell everybody, I was hoping for 6:30. Jesse had his money on 9. So I'm going to go ahead and say I won.
That's what you've been eating all along, Jesse.
Yeah, well, I fast. I apologize for that, by the way. No one wants to watch anybody eat on camera, especially me, but I was fasting today, so I had to. So sorry.
Gotcha.
Great job, everybody. Thank you. Please send
Good.
your edits.
Good night,
in
Bye,
the next
everyone.
24
everybody.
hours.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bravo, Jessica.
Bye, guys.
Good job, Jessica.